Crazy weekend in baseball. Last week did not treat us well. Bit of a negative week. A lot going on, though, heading into this week. We have a nice little 10-game slate. 6 of the games on this 10-game slate, divisional battles. And, of course, the trade deadline. More news splashing over the weekend. Scherzer to Texas. St. Louis started selling off now. Montgomery, they give Hicks to Toronto. So pitching starting to go. The bat's not too much until the Angels got involved last night. Picked up Grichuk and Cron from Colorado. And I believe the deadline closes, I believe, 6 p.m. tomorrow. So still a day and a half worth of trades to be had. Definitely have to be keeping an eye on that these next couple of days as far as lineups, late scratches with pitchers, even everything going there. John, rough week last week. Hopefully we can get back. But as far as the deadline, any big splashes so far that you're personally fond of?
Texas going for it, man. They go and take DeGrom preseason.
Nope.
He goes down, maybe to never be heard from again. And now they go get Scherzer. They needed it. Evaldi just went on the IL. We've chronicled Gray for the last few weeks. He was pitching great, throws that complete game, comes up with a blister, misses his next start. It hasn't been the same since. Perez, who was the Texas best pitcher last year, basically batting practice this year. Dunning, who was good early in the year, starting to falter. So they needed somebody. And if they look, we always say it's the same thing for the Orioles. If you've got World Series aspirations, you need that stopper. I think Scherzer helped his case with that last performance against the Nationals, just enough for them to say pick him up. But you could see Texas going for it. Angels even did a couple of smaller takes yesterday, stealing Cron and Grichuk from the Rockies, because they've got so many guys on the injured list. Trout, Urshela gone for the year, Rendon, Drury, who's supposed to be coming back shortly. So they're bolstering their bats a little bit because you got Ohtani and a bunch of guys out. And Taylor Ward gets hit in the face. Yeah. That'll end his season. Nito, he's played one game in the last week since coming off the IL. So they needed some bats. They went out and got them. They kept Ohtani. They're keeping Ohtani. And it looks like they're serious about making a push. The teams that we'd have been talking about that are sellers are sellers. Cardinals, Mets. This season's been over. This season's been over for quite a while. They just didn't know about it till recently. The one team that hasn't made a move yet, the Padres, that's the team that we've been all saying, or me and you have been saying, that they're going to be making a move. We're looking for Soto to go. We're looking for Hader to go. We're looking for Snell, who's become the front runner for Cy Young Award. Excuse me. I am just dying with allergies today. So now they sweep Texas. Do they think they're back in it? Are they still going for it? We'll see. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. A lot more to go on. Yesterday, didn't know if Verlander was going to make that start. I thought he was going to be next on the list, as the Mets are obviously they're blowing it up. We saw that with Robinson. Mets really handled themselves well. They won 3 out of 4 in this series. And it's very tough when you got guys going and they're major parts. So they got rid of their closer Robinson. Now you want to call me your ace or your second, however you want to rank Scherzer. When those guys go, it's just demoralizing to the clubhouse. But they held on to it. Oh my God, I'm fucking dying. 3 out of 4. And they'll go to KC. KC, another team, goes and sweeps the Twins. The first place Twins have a chance to pad their lead in the AL Central. And they go get swept at Kansas City at the time. Worst home team in baseball. Baseball's crazy. We had a terrible week. Saving grace yesterday, we actually went 1-4. But because 3 of our losers were 1-unit bets, our big bet Cincy at plus 155 was a 2-unit bet. We only lost the cut, and I say only lost the cut. It's always terrible to lose, but it's the saves that you pick up. So bad week, no sugarcoating it. We'll get back on the right track. And I really like a couple of games today. Let's start talking about them.
Yeah, definitely damage control on the Sunday. Hopefully that can carry us over onto the week and pick something up and going here. Really quick, I know you just touched on the Padres not selling yet. I mean, the big red flag to me right now is Baltimore not buying. I mean, Texas just bought all the starting pitching. What the hell are the Orioles? I mean, Orioles need Verlander at this point. I don't know another ace type starting pitcher.
Could that still happen? I mean, it sure could. Look, don't know if everybody knows it. They sent Wells down last night. Wells, who was their ace for the best part of the year till Bradish starts to pitch a little better and Wells declined, but they sent him down. I like what the Orioles do. Beginning of the year, they go get Irvin. He's their big free agent guy. Gets banged around early part of the season. Boom, they send him down. Rodriguez, they bring Irvin up. He back up. He threw a couple of decent games for them. Rodriguez, their stud, was getting crushed. Sent him back down. He's been great since he come back. So I guess they're trying the same thing with Wells. They'll get him out, try to straighten him out. But with his last few outings, you would think they definitely need it. We've been talking about that again. You need that guy. You're going to go into a playoff game, a game 7, a World Series. If you get that far, you need that guy. Even Bradish, they don't have that guy. Gibson, Crema, they've got some good pitchers. They don't have that guy. Verlander, another good outing yesterday.
Yep.
He be that guy.
Yep, he has the success against the. I mean, even the books are kind of disrespecting at this point. Where Baltimore, the best record in the AL, they have the 4th best World Series odds in the AL. They have Tampa Bay, Houston, and Texas all ahead of them as far as World Series future prices. So even the books saying, "Hey, Baltimore, you got to do a bit more here at the deadline in order for us to respect you more." We'll see if they do. But like you said,
they've been getting disrespected all year, and that's
true.
why we made a ton of money with Baltimore.
It's true. And they have a nice little matchup on this card today, one of the division battles. We can start it off, though, with Philly, Miami, another division battle here. This wild card race getting tight. If you look over in the NL wild card, Marlins holding that 2nd spot, but just behind them, half a game is Philly. And it's Walker versus Cabrera. Marlins, another one of these teams who kind of, going into the break, they're for sure buyers. And you have issues coming out of the break. We'll see what they end up doing. Showed a little bit of life there in that Tigers series. They've now won 4 of 6. And then this Phillies team drops 2 of 3 against the Pirates. Can't happen. 2-6 their last 8 road games after that, 13-game win streak. So they had that 13-game road streak. A little bit of struggles now. Walker versus Cabrera. Walker, he's had some road struggles. He has a 5+ ERA. Was decent against the Marlins. Last year, 6 starts, 3-0, 2.65, really solid. And Cabrera roughed up his last time out. He's been really good at home, though, 5-0, 2.61. Marlins kind of trending back upward right before the deadline. Are they going to be buying and selling? We'll see what they end up doing here, right in the thick of it in that wild card spot. This game to me is Miami or nobody. I mean, Philly's dropping a couple of games to Pittsburgh. That is just as bad as it gets. And we'll see if Marlins back at home here with Cabrera can get it going. But it'd be a lean here to Miami. Not enough on the price for me, though.
Yeah, Philly's got it. Had basically owned Pittsburgh and then go in there, drop 2 of 3. Absolutely cannot happen. You've got Walker on the mound today. Walker tied with 6 other pitchers for the league lead in wins, for major league lead in wins, but hasn't been so good. Now in July, 2-1, 4, 5, 6, and 4 July starts. He's been good in 6 starts against the Marlins, as Ben mentioned, but not so good on the road, 5.25 ERA. Phillies, we were told you that 13-game road win streak was out of character. Philly does not finish above 500 on the road. I think they finished above 500 once in the last decade on on the road, that is. Miami, in the meantime, 2nd best home record in the National League. Now, can Cabrera get it back done? In 2 starts since coming back, he's given up 4 runs in just 7 innings. The last one was getting beat up at Tampa Bay, where Miami gets beat up all the time. The line is right to me, so I'll be staying off this game. One side note, Chisholm comes back from the IL today for the Marlins.
Yeah, Marlins need bats. Apparently, they're shopping for that as well, so that could help very much so. Next matchup, Brewers at Washington. I think it's worth a look at the favorite here with Milwaukee today. I definitely don't want any part of the Nats here. Brewers come in, they get swept by Atlanta, and they're now in 2nd place again in the Central. Meanwhile, the Red Hot Reds and the Red Hot Cubs are going to be battling out this week, so they get an opportunity for those 2 teams to go beat up on one another, and they get the gift of the worst home team in the National League and the Nationals. With that, though, they did go 5-1 on that last homestand. We'll see if there's any carryover there. Burns versus Irvin, though, just pitching mismatch. Burns has been a monster in July. 5 quality starts, 4-1, 1.64. And then Irvin, they've won 3 of his last 4 starts. Last 2, though, 7 runs, 5 homers, and 12 2/3. Pitching mismatch for Burns, and this is where you need your ace to be an ace. You get swept by the best team in baseball. Now you go the complete opposite and one of the worst teams in baseball, and you gave up that lead in the division. You need your ace to go back and get you a win to get you a chance back at top. So this is Brewers or nobody. Big price here. I have no interest in Washington.
Yeah, Brewers killed us at Atlanta whole weekend. First place, they drop all 3. Now since he bounces back, as Ben said, what more could you want for if you're Milwaukee than to now get the National League's worst home team, while the second and third place teams battle it out in Chicago. Burns, an ace, gave up a couple of runs his last time out against Cincy, but he's been absolutely phenomenal with a 1.64 ERA. This is a team that needs it. They started to score in Atlanta, just not enough because Atlanta is back. It looks like they're back on that 27-5 team that ended up the first half before the All-Star break. So yeah, I would be Milwaukee. Obviously, I'm not laying this price minus 195 to 200 price right now, but don't want nothing to do with the home dog Nationals.
And it's Reds at Cubbies. Reds now back in first place. Cubs currently 4 games back in the division. They're 3.5 games back in the wild card. This Cincy team, what they've been doing on the road, just impressive. They take 2 of 3 against the Dodgers in LA. Now 18-6, their last 24 road games. 4 of those losses against the Brewers. So 18-2 the last 20 games, not at Milwaukee there. Abbott versus Stroman here. Abbott's just been terrific. 8 of his 10 starts, quality starts. Last 2, 14 shutout innings. And Stroman in July has done almost an 8 ERA, 7.99 in 5 starts. Last 2 starts, 12 runs in 7 innings. Pitching mismatch as far as how you're doing right now. If this was Stroman earlier in the season, different conversation. But how are you doing right now? It's a pitching mismatch. Cincy, they've had the road success. Cubs, they snapped the 8-game win streak. It might be a little bit of that regression, a little bit of the coldness. Now we'll see what happens. They could have been the absolute worst curse situation where the Cubs got hot at the worst time, get hot right before the deadline. They don't sell, and then they go cold. So we'll see if that ends up happening. If I was them, I do not want to see Cincy. I don't want to see Abbott. This is Reds or nobody with all those trends there.
Yeah, it's Reds or nobody. Going 2 different directions. I mean, that's not even it. It's an understatement. You got Abbott right now, 8 of his 10 career starts. He's made 10 career starts, 8 of them quality starts. Last 2, 14 shutout innings, 15 Ks, 3 walks. What a job this kid's doing. Stroman, since he went to London and that game against St. Louis, he's just been getting crushed. Not the same pitcher. Yeah, he has got real good numbers against the Reds from last year. This isn't last year's Cincinnati Reds. Different team. Reds, we're on them the whole series out in L.A. Just got a different feeling about this team right now. And for the Cubs, for as hot as they were, they had an 8-game winning streak. All of a sudden, the last 3 games, the bats cooled off a little bit. They get shut out last night, held to yesterday afternoon at St. Louis. So they're held to 5 hits yesterday, scoring now just 2.67 runs over those last 3 games per game. So, yeah, it's Cincy or nobody in this one.
Then we have Padres at Rockies. Padres a part of 3 teams in the league this year that have not won 4 straight. They're currently on 3 straight. We'll see if they make it to 4 finally. Going here to Colorado. They're coming off a sweep against the Rangers. I would say maybe a little bit of a letdown spot, but they don't even have the pleasure or the luxury of having a letdown spot with where they're at. 5 games out of the wild card. Still waiting to see if they sell or not. Lugo versus Gomber today. Both pitchers been going well. Each 4 of their last 5 starts have been quality starts. Gomber does have some struggles against the Rockies, the Padres this year. 0-2, 9.00 ERA. Has had some success at home. And Lugo had a quality start versus the Rockies back in April. Weird matchup history. Padres, a lot of success recently. Rockies really dominated this in Colorado the previous 2 seasons. We'll see if they get back to that. And then we mentioned at the start the trades they made as far as Grichuk and Cron, but this Rockies offense hasn't been healthy all season long. They haven't had a full strength roster since opening day. So they've kind of been playing without these guys in the lineup more or less a lot of the year. We'll see what happens here. Kim, he's doubtful. Hader was used a lot. This is a big home dog here for Colorado in a division matchup. Maybe a little bit of a letdown there for San Diego, who hasn't won 4 straight yet this year.
Yeah, Padres, can they win 4 straight? Are they going for it? Are they going to sell at the last second? Let's see what's going on. It's today or tomorrow. Kim is a big minus. He'll probably be out of the game. He left yesterday's game. He's got one of the top WARs in Major League Baseball. Hader 31 pitches to close out that game yesterday. Also closed the game the day before. Doubt he'll be available today. Gamba, last 5 starts. 4 quality starts, pitching just as good as Lugo. So you just got to ask yourself a question. Is San Diego 2-1 favorite with the same pitcher at Coors Field? They've won 4 of their last 5 at Coors. But Rockies had won 13 of 14 prior meetings at Coors Field. Coors just has a way of evening things out. They'll be without a couple of their hitters. Crone, he's been on and off the injured list for a good part of the year. Just a big number, still not sold. Just for reference, so San Diego, their last 10 road games, 5-5, 23-29 on the road for the year. Rockies, 4-4 at home. Their last 8 home games, 24-28 at home for the year. Big number. Rockies are nobody.
Then we have D-backs at the Giants. Still waiting for confirmation. It's going to be Cobb in the box for San Francisco. Expecting it to be 2 teams who haven't been that active at the deadline, but they're right in the thick of it right now. The Giants holding the top wild card spot. They're 2 games ahead of Arizona, who's just outside of the 3rd and 2nd wild card spot there. And as far as in the division, it's Giants 2 games back of the Dodgers. D-backs 4 games back. Arizona, they've just been really struggling. They've dropped 3 of 4, 2-8 their last 10. And San Francisco, they were ice cold. Now they've won 4 or 5. The bats really haven't heated up yet. We'll see if they get going here in the series against Arizona. Nelson, just a different pitcher on the road. 4-1, 2.67 in 11 road starts, holding teams to a 223 batting average. They're hitting 356 against them at home, just completely different numbers. And Cobb, he's been just as good as it gets at home, 4-1, 1.09. Would give the pitching edge here to Cobb, just not nearly as drastic as it would be. Still waiting for confirmation it's him. Arizona, what are we going to get out of them? They haven't bought at the deadline. They haven't sold at the deadline. Been very quiet, and they've just been slowly falling back from leading the NL West for most of the season to now out of the wild card. This is Arizona or nobody for me. A slight lean here. These San Francisco bats really didn't do much these last couple of series when they won 4 or 5 against Boston and Oakland. I don't know if Arizona's been doing much better, but just a little bit there worth the price there with a road divisional dog here, John. Lean to Arizona. Got to wait for confirmation on Cobb.
Yeah, Arizona, they're the falling knife right now. Don't want to catch them. Arizona, still a big improvement from last year. They'll be another team. Like I said, they'll get even better next year. Carroll's first year, he's a stud. Just not going to be their year. Don't know how well they're going to do the rest of the year out. Frisco, 3 one-run games with the Red Sox. And then that's the games that they play in San Francisco. Low scoring, and they just seem to get enough pitching, enough hitting to do well. Yastrzemski, he left yesterday's game. He's questionable. Cobb's numbers, 1.09 ERA at home. Tough to buck that. Have to see if it's actually him and a price. Right now, the only place that's got a couple of places first actually starting to put it up now, or putting it up 150. Take back anywhere from 136 to 138. Ballpark, maybe a little bit high, but it's a little bit high because if you want to bet against the Diamondbacks, who are 2-8 in their last 10, they're going to make you pay for it with Cobb at what a 1.06 ERA at home. I'm off this game. Don't want no part of the D-backs.
Then it's Rays at Yankees, another division battle here. We have Tampa Bay coming off taking 2 of 3 against the Stros, still 4-9 their last 13. And then this Yankees team, they dropped 2 or 3 to the Orioles. Judge was rested last night. Rays have won 4 of 7 meetings this year. They split 4 games in New York. Glasnow versus Herman, just a pitching mismatch here. 3 straight quality starts, 2-0, 1.80 for Glasnow. Herman, 11 runs, 4 homers in 12 innings, his last 2 times out. So he's been decent against the Rays this year. 3 earned runs in 10 2/3, just pitching really rough lately. Not a big number, but a decent sized home dog here for the Yankees would be a lean there. Another team, they haven't decided they're selling or buying. There's rumors of them selling Torres. We'll see what happens. Tampa Bay's been fairly quiet at the deadline. We'll see what they get involved. So lineups, we'll see if anything changes here with trades. Price on this game would be a slight lean to the Yankees here. Tough to go against this pitching edge that Glasnow has in this one. I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, at first glance, you see, wow, Yankees take plus 127 at home. Now that Judge is back, you're ready to jump on that. But as Ben said, big pitching mismatch. Glasnow really getting to form now. Last few outings looking fantastic. Herman looking horrible. We'll wait to see where this game goes because this game so far is only going in one direction. Game open minus 120 on the overnight, now as high as minus 138. That the Sharps are all over Tampa Bay and Glasnow in this one. Can't be Tampa Bay. It's home dog. Yankees or nobody for me, but it could be nobody.
Then Orioles at Toronto. Orioles, like we just said, coming off taking 2 of 3 against the Yanks. They're the best road team.
Also, and forgot to mention, like to stay away from that Sunday night team that travels, and that's the Yankees. Even more so in this next game, because not only did Orioles play and travel, but Toronto was home with no travel, so it gives them a little bit of more of a net. Sorry about that, Ben.
Yeah, no worries. And Toronto had the earliest game on the card yesterday as well, feeding into that. But yeah, Baltimore take 2 of 3 against the Yankees. The Blue Jays, they lost the Angels yesterday, but they won 5 of 7. O's have won 5 of 6 meetings this year. They swept all 3 games at Toronto so far. Gibson versus Bassitt. Gibson's been decent. 3 of his last 4 starts, quality starts. Last 2, 5 runs in 12 innings. Had a good start against the Jays earlier this year at Toronto. And then Bassitt, 5 July starts, 2-0, 3.33 ERA. Last 3 starts, all versus the NL West, 4 runs in 17 innings. Was roughed up. His worst start this year against the Orioles, 8 runs, 3 homers, 3 innings. That was back in June. He has been great at home, much different home numbers. This is Orioles are nobody. It's like John said before, a tough spot coming off the Sunday night game. The Jays had the earliest game. Currently, Toronto 5.5 games back in the East. Just not a big believer in this Toronto team. We'll see how they do in this matchup. Don't wake them this high. It would be a lean here to the Baltimore. We need a bit more on the number because of that rough spot coming off the Sunday night game.
Yeah, Orioles put up 9 last night, 9 runs, but still over their last 6 games, hitting just 212. To me, the number is high. It's higher than it should be for a reason. That's that Sunday night that we talked about. Bassett's been really good at home. If it goes higher, much higher, I'd be forced to take the Orioles.
And then we have Guardians at Houston. Guardians coming off a split series with the White Sox. They won 4 of 6. Houston, they dropped 2 of 3 against Tampa Bay. Cleveland, they won 2 of 3 meetings in Cleveland this year, but the Stros won 2 of 3 in Houston last year. Get the Guardians debut for Syndergaard, and what a rough place to go.
No less.
Yep, on the road this year. 0-2, 10.96 ERA and 6 starts. His last 3 starts before getting shut down by the Dodgers, 17 runs, 6 homers in 14 innings. Brutal, absolutely brutal. Didn't pitch much in AAA. So we'll see what he brings here to Cleveland. He's just kind of been shut down. Maybe that's what he needed. He had all the injuries the past couple of years, so maybe getting shut down for a bit helps. We'll see. France, though, just complete opposite. 8 of 9 starts are quality starts. 5-2, 2.34 ERA in that stretch. Last 2, just 1 run in 14 innings. Has been a bit worse at home, but not horrible. 3.96 ERA. Still gets the pitching mismatch here against Cleveland. Would be a slight lean here to the Guardians from a number standpoint, but I can't get involved in that. I can't back Syndergaard on the road. Can't get involved in any shape or way or how. Guardians, they do catch the breather there. Just a half game back now out of Minnesota. They get the biggest blessing with Twins getting swept by KC, so maybe that gives them some life. Could look at the over at this matchup, but just a hard to back Syndergaard, especially on the road.
Well, we had Syndergaard on auto fade, especially on the road while he was with the Dodgers. Want no part of him in this pitching matchup, but the Sharps took him. This game opened 175 on the overnight, sitting at 165 right now. Houston, now they got Altuve and Alvarez back. They go crazy Saturday with 17 runs, 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and then come with a blank pretty much yesterday. They're 1 game behind Texas. Texas left the door open by getting swept at San Diego.
Yep.
Houston, this is going to be their division. You can just feel them falling. Shears better get throwing some good games at Texas. Texas in a lot of trouble. Eovaldi, their best pitcher on the IL. Seager, their best hitter, best player, all-around player on the IL. They're falling from grace. Houston getting healthier. Here's a game that they've got to win against a pitcher that I don't know if he belongs in the major leagues. We'll see if he's regrouped since his time off. Just don't want Syndergaard in this game.
Yeah, I don't know what Cleveland saw in picking that up. We'll see if it pans out for him. Who knows? Next one we have is Red Sox at Seattle. It's going to be Pivetta here versus Kirby. Red Sox coming off that tight series with the Giants, bunch of one-run games. They dropped 2 of 3, dropped the last 2 following the 5-game win streak. And then you have the Seattle team who's been playing pretty good ball. They've won 4 or 5. Pivetta versus Kirby. I don't like that they're messing with Pivetta here. He was doing great for them in bulk relief. What was it? In 5 July outings, 3 earned runs in 21 innings. Now you're going to mess with that, try to make him be a starter again. He can give you some good starts, but he's just been a lot more consistent in the relief role. When he's starting, it's very hit or miss. We'll see what we get out of him. And then Kirby, he's been roughed up 2 of his last 3 starts, 6.19 ERA. Did hold the Red Sox to 1 run in 6 2/3 earlier this year. Pitching edge goes to Kirby here. Don't like what they're doing with Pivetta. Will be a lean to Red Sox on the matchup. They do own the matchup. They've won 10 of the last 12 meetings, 4 of the last 5 at Seattle. They were playing really good ball before those last 2 games there against San Francisco. We do talk about it, though. The bats fell off on the road, and they did so far on this trip. We'll see what we get in this matchup. 2 teams on the cusp of it. Seattle, I believe it's 4 games back of the wild card. Boston, 2.5 games back. Will be a lean here to the Red Sox. Just would rather Pivetta follow an opener. Pivetta was following an opener today. I'd feel more confident backing Boston.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's just always the rule, and that's what's happening in this one. So Pivetta would have an opener for him, and then come in and get, we call it the bulk reliever. In that bulk reliever role, he's been dynamite. Kirby smashed pretty hard in 2 of 3 starts since the All-Star game. So we'll see how that goes. Red Sox, just a different team hitting on the road. They love Fenway Park. On the road, not so much. They're hitting just 235 and score 4.33 runs per game on the road. So a different team on the road. Seattle, more of a pitcher's ballpark. We expect one of these low-scoring games. Kirby's got to get right here. This number was a little high. Excuse me. It was -1.25 on the overnight. Went up a little bit. There was some Red Sox money, and you're right back to -1.25. I think that's a fair number for this game.
And then last game on the call.
I do want to throw in the Red Sox have pretty much owned this matchup, winning. Where am I with this one? They've won 10 of the last 12 meetings and 4 of the last 5 in Seattle. And again, that's why we lean a little bit. Red Sox just don't like what they're doing with the Pivetta situation.
And then you have Angels at Braves. Last game here on the card. Angels coming off a win in the 10th at Toronto. They lost 2 of 3 in the series there. Still 9-3 their last 12. And the Braves back to being the Braves. Sweet Milwaukee scoring 9.67 runs per game. Hitting 406 during that series. Just ridiculous.
406. 406 their last 3. Scoring just under 10 runs per game. Scary.
Very scary, and scary that I lean to the Angels today. But hey, they're buyers. They're going for it. They did lose 2 of 3 against Toronto. Last year, they met in Atlanta. Braves took 2 of 3 meetings. Canning versus Morton, and Morton's the reason for the lean here to the Angels. Morton last 2 starts, 8 runs and 9 1/3, 5 Ks, 8 walks, so losing command a little bit. Prior to that was dominant to start July, 3-0.47 through 6 shutout innings versus the Angels last year. And Canning, very serviceable. 4 runs in 10 2/3, 20 Ks, 3 walks. So his K-walk ratio looking very nice. Angels team buying more bats last night. We're waiting to see if Cron and Krichuk will be in the lineup tonight. Probably would lean not, but you never know. We'll see what happens if they end up in there. And just this Braves offense going full nuts right now. Morton not the best. It would probably be better playing the over in this matchup. The way Morton's been going and the way this Atlanta offense hit those last 3 games. Hard to jump in front of that. We need a really big price on it. So over is probably the safer play here. Will be a lean on the Angels, though. Don't make Morton quite this high of a price.
Shops all over the Angels in this one. This game opened 230 on the overnight. You're down to 200 right now. I don't know. I want no part of the Angels in this one. Angels now, they lose 2 of 3 in that series at Toronto, scoring 1.6 runs per game, hitting just 223. As Ben told you, Braves, their 3-game sweep, scored 9 and change runs per game, hitting over 400. This again looks like that Braves team that went 27-5 in the games leading up to the end of the first half before the All-Star break. Don't want to get in front of that. We got in front of that yesterday only because they had AJ Smith-Shawver on the mound, who I called affectionately Ass. He'd been getting crushed at AAA, and I thought Milwaukee was worth the big number. Morton, 2 not-so-good outings. He was pitching great prior to that, but this Braves team, a wrecking crew right now. Don't want no part of bucking them in this situation. Till the bats slow down, I'll stay away from Atlanta.
Yeah, we saw the whole Matt Chapman video too, like yelling at Schneider. And then, Toronto got intentionally walked multiple times after that. Kind of got the Judge treatment he got at the end of last year. If that continues here, some of these bats, the Angels lineup really going to have to pick it up. Otherwise, they're just going to avoid Ohtani at all costs. So we'll see if these additions help at all if they can get implemented today. But that's a 10-game.
That's the way to play baseball, by the way, or basketball. You do not let the best player on the other team beat you. And we've said that repeatedly. You take the best player out of the game, and that's what they're doing with Ohtani. That's baseball or NBA. Like we've said it before. You're down. The other team's down 3. They got Steph Curry on the other team. I am not going to let Steph Curry take the last shot. I don't care. He's not. If I triple team him, somebody else is going to have to knock down the 3, not Steph Curry. Why let Ohtani beat you when there's nobody else in the lineup? We ran through all the guys on the IL. That's why they went out and made a couple of pickups yesterday. He'll need that help in the lineup. But right now, the Braves, they just don't need any help. They just go out there crushing teams right now. It looks like they score some runs. If the other team goes ahead, boom, they'll score some more. That's what they did yesterday. That's what they did. They started with 6 on Saturday. I'm just staying out of the way. When a team is red hot or a pitcher is red hot, stay out of the way. Team's ice cold, pitcher's ice cold. You want to bet against them. Right now, Atlanta Braves, red hot, scoring in bunches. I'll stay off this game.
Yeah, Braves, not a team you can really pitch around any of their studs because there's another stud around the corner. 5 guys with 20 bombs this year, leading the league in homers. So that's what that protection does for you. 2 bets for how to beat the bookie members out right now, John, on this 10-game card, 6 division battles. And like we said at the start, just keep a lookout. Lineups, trade deadline news, late scratches on pitchers. Who knows what's going to be happening today? So that's all to be looking out for. Good reason to sign up there. You can go to howtobeatthebookie.com or sign up on the app, John.
Yep, today and tomorrow will be like that. Expect more trades. Expect pitchers to get pulled. It's always you got pitchers juggling around this time of year. So, yep, we're on top of it, as we always are. Terrible week. Expect to rebound this week. No better time to rejoin. Become a member.
Yep, guys. Let's make some money.